Speaking of, when it comes to knock some of these news articles out the way, speaking of excuses, so we have here, I have an article I want to get into that of a dispute between Becky Lynch and Mark Henry.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But yes.
I've been mum is the word on my wrestling groups on Facebook.
What's the word?
Shut up.
No, seriously, I want to know what's the word.
I said they've been mum is a word.
Oh.
Just go ahead about what you talking about.
I'm about to say, if you got something else, another article, I need to know that.
No, that's why I said I haven't heard about this, so
okay.
I'm going to look.
I'm about to say, I wasn't going to say Johannesburg.
That's the first thing I saw when I pulled this up.
Yeah, great stuff.
Let me see if there's anything here so I can keep up.
So, on Busted Open Radio, Mark Henry was recently opened. He loves being on that show. And he opened up about Becky Lynch's character so far. And then he feels as though that now Becky Lynch's character has adopted a characteristic of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
And he feels as though that some of the things that she's doing as a babyface is more arrogant and it doesn't work for her.
Okay.
He personally knows her, you know. And I'm going to say, I can go back for what I said on NXT and stuff like that now. And he says, I miss the underdog Becky Lynch that don't take no crap and will fight for what's hers.
Mm-hmm.
And then that he said, I want that old Becky Lynch back. Because it's now she's going...
that old thing back. No, go ahead.
So he go more to arrogance. So, Becky Lynch responds on Twitter, I believe it is, of what Mark Henry said. So she says,
she loves Twitter.
She do. She says, a woman who told the world she was coming after the posters, the titles, the billboards, and the headlines, and then does it is arrogant now. I said it, I did it, and I backed it all up. Live with it.
Okay.
So,
honestly, sometimes I'm like, this does seem more heelish. It borderline. It gets to be a lot sometimes. The whole Twitter thing. But go ahead.
So there was a series of tweets and stuff like that. So Mark Henry, of course, said stuff about it because it says here, I'm reading on Ringside News, that Mark Henry saw this retort from the man and replied in a series of tweets to back up his statements. It is no secret that Mark Henry has decades of pro wrestling knowledge under his belt and sought an education from some of the greatest minds in the business, so he might be on to something. So he says in this tweet, I quote, I said my truth as a fan and analyst. I like to feel for my good guys and women when they say what the bad guys and girls say. It comes across as overconfident, which in the real world makes you heel. I never said she was not over, period. I said the opposite. Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, Rip Rogers, Tom Pritchard, Arn Anderson, Pat Patterson, and many other master psychologists have taught me to put the heel over and overcome their dominance by surviving and out wrestle them. Continually winning the crowd, getting respect for preserving and doing it fair. That makes you the good guy or woman. I take my lessons to the grave and will never, in all caps, take advice from social media trolls. I correct puppies.
Oh.
I correct puppies lose. Okay. All caps.
Okay, so I correct puppies.
So I guess stuff like that with troll. So that's what Mark Henry has said about Becky Lynch, and I want to know, as a woman, somebody, because it's very hard. Let's just be real here. This is a man-dominated world, and it's hard for women to basically get anything, or they just do, or even fairness in any of the workforce, jobs, sports, or anything. I mean, shit, they just put a WNBA in a 2K game.
In 2K20.
Yeah.
How long has 2K been coming out?
Exactly.
But go ahead.
So I'm saying, what's your take on all this?
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with what Mark Henry says to an extent. However, I more so agree with what Becky Lynch is saying. Now, I know she's saying this. It's hard to decipher whether she's saying this just like from the heart or she's saying this as her character.
Okay.
Because they use social media to bolster what's going on the shows now. Mm-hmm. But what she said is correct. Having worked in corporate America for the last decade or so at this point, you do get looked at like you are too cocky or you're a B word or a C word if you're a woman who asserts her dominance in a male-dominated area, any male-dominated area. And you could do the same exact thing that a male counterpart would do, and it's, whoa, are you on your period? Like, no, I just told you to do your job. Same as Tim, I don't know, random name, would tell you, but I'm a B word because I told you to do your job. Or if I say, you know what, fine, I'll do it myself, I'm arrogant. So I understand where she's coming from. I feel like there's a miscommunication there because I don't think that's where Mark Henry was coming from. And I don't think he was coming from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Which is why I kind of understand what he's saying. It's like when you start blurring the lines here and you're supposed to be a babyface and you're doing heelish things, then how are we supposed to decide? I mean, obviously, they tell us who, but how are we supposed to decipher who you're supposed to be or what your character is supposed to be if you're doing stuff that you should be doing as a heel, but you're not? I mean, I'm not as well versed in this as you are, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. But I see where both of them are coming from, but I feel like they're talking at each other, not to each other.
I think this. Okay, this is my opinion. A lot of the younger talent are very sensitive.
I'm learning.
It ain't just about this tweet. There's the Seth Rollins stuff. There's the Goldust stuff. There's there's a lot of
Goldust.
Oh, well, that's back then, stuff like that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of times that on social media that these people, because let's be real, wrestling fans, and some people just feel as though they were wrestling fans, where there's some fat Cheeto eating people that live in our mama's garage that be like wrestling because that's exactly what Enzo said in his rap song.
Definitely did. That is literally what was in the video.
Exactly. That's the stereotype of what a wrestling fan is. And then what they do is they use their mama money, they get themselves a microphone, and they want to talk about professional wrestling as if they've been in the business. Fine. However, I've never been in the wrestling business. I just been into wrestling. Yeah. And I have read a lot of books. I've heard a lot of testimonies, seen a lot of shoot interviews, and I've been well versed in wrestling since 1992. Mark Henry comes from the old school. Yeah. Okay, so there's certain ways you do things, and then everybody keeps saying, Stone Cold Becky Lynch, right? When Stone Cold was a heel, see, remember, the character Stone Cold is heel. Yes. So when he was a heel, I remember the 1997 Royal Rumble came to my mind, where he was throwing guys out. He was some type of turnbuckle that's looking at his watch like, what's the next one? That's arrogance. Yes. But when Stone Cold became a fan favorite and a household name, I looked at the 1998 Royal Rumble. Yeah. I looked at the 1999 Royal Rumble. Those actions weren't in there. Yeah. But he was still a badass. And now, don't get me wrong, he had some moments like when Vince McMahon had the target painted right on his chest in 1999, and he had the whole Royal Rumble go out there to get him. And yeah, he throwing people out, stuff like that, but they still booked him more of a babyface, badass, opposed to an arrogant heel. There are some things that Becky Lynch's character has been starting to do that comes off heelish. Yeah. And I'm like, it's alright to blur the lines. And I really think the reason for that is because there's no Ronda Rousey.
True. They need somebody to fill her spot.
There's no Ronda, and we're tired of Charlotte. No, seriously.
Charlotte.
So, you know, but there is a slight difference. Where, opposed to being, because if you looked at Becky Lynch's run, ever since she when they tried to turn her heel and then it didn't work out, and then because she was heel, the man was heel.
Yeah.
And then when all of a sudden she became the baby face, and then go back and they put her through that whole underdog story.
Yeah.
You know, people got more behind that. I'm thinking is what Mark Henry said he likes more if they're going to continue booking her as a face. Now, for Becky Lynch's defense, somebody who out the four horsewomen who never won the NXT championship, women's championship, somebody who was low table who they gonna get rid of in the first place, somebody who had to come there actually had to make a name for herself, and actually revamp her whole self, her whole character.
Yeah,
I get it.
She really is the only one.
Yes,
who didn't get the spotlight at all for real.
But one thing I want like these people to do, like in my generation and younger, is not because you do have some older assholes out there.
Oh, plenty.
And there are some,
especially in the wrestling business.
Yeah, and there's some older hypocrites because they just didn't have what you have.
I'm gonna say, let me point you to Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah. But there are some out there who genuinely want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I worked in an era where, you know, everybody was on top. And I know how to get over as a heel. I know how to get over as babyface because I've done it before.
Yeah.
And especially somebody who worked closely with Stone Cold, let me tell you, with some things I think you're doing wrong, some things I think you're doing right. Criticism has, I don't think, ever been a thing that millennials like. Is that fair or is that an unfair statement?
Now, here's the thing, and I'm not saying this because we are millennials. I wanted to backtrack a bit when you said that the new talent is sensitive. I think the new talent is headstrong. Just like a lot of us are when we're really young and somebody tells us, don't do that. I'm trying to tell you it's not going to work out in your favor. And you're like, it's whatever. I'm big, bad, and bulletproof, and nothing's going to happen to me. I really feel like some of this talent starts smelling themselves a little bit, and then they start to feel like they don't need the advice of some of the older people who went through this at a totally different time. It also comes off, I feel like it is worse because I know there are people who are in the older generation now who were young at one point who did the same thing but did not have things like social media to air their grievances. So they just bitched and moaned at home. So now, instead of bitching and moaning at home, you go on the internet and tell everybody how you feel. So it looks even worse. Because I really want somebody from a previous generation to come and tell me that you just live with your life content and never complain. Because that's not true. We know it's not true. Even if you were just content with things, you complain sometimes. The problem is now, this generation and younger doesn't seem to have a problem airing their grievances. Whether it be in public, at home, on the internet, wherever. Because they're not going to take anybody's crap. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, it does come off sensitive, but I really think they're still living in that young and dumb mentality, which can be detrimental to you when you work as a public figure. You really don't have room for that. I see Leo Rush. You don't have room to be young and dumb and on a public platform, and then because now you've threatened your livelihood. Same with the Uso. You threaten your livelihood because you out here driving drunk. Eventually it's going to catch up with you because you don't want to listen. I don't know if that's technically the case with him, but you may not want to listen to what people have to say to you. So I will say, to your point, I agree a bit, but I feel like it's not a new concept that people in the age range of 18 to 34 don't want to listen or don't want to take criticism. Once you hit 30, you get a little, it's like, all right now. But especially that 20s range there, when you're in your late 20s, early 30s even, you don't want to, you still don't want to listen. You still feel like, I've been doing this long enough, I know what I'm doing kind of thing. And I feel like that's what we're seeing in real time now.
Could be, but I do wish, even in basketball and stuff, that people and then other sports, that when the old dog or the old guard is talking, they're trying to, extend some advice to you, to even if you don't want to listen to now, but like just take it into some kind of context, because we sometimes we fail to we always sometimes forget that they were our age too.
Yeah, I will say that for sure. Yeah, we've all done that.
We've all just said like they were our age too. And sometimes their era was just a little bit tougher than ours.
Yeah, depending on, because they had to pave the way for what was going on. There's stuff that we deal with now that they never would have thought they had to deal with, and there's tons of things that the older generations dealt with that we will never have to deal with because they did. So eventually, everybody gets like, you know what, maybe I should. But it's usually after something big happens to them. Something jarring has to happen. She got to get knocked. Maybe she's got to get knocked off the top and go all the way back to the starting line. For her to be like, damn, maybe I should have listened to what Mark Henry or whoever else said. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yep, kind of like Cena should listen to Agent Jericho about burying the Nexus, but I'll get on that topic by a different day.